Hey everyone, well, we've made it here to Prague. So this time we're checking out the Qubit conference here in the Czech Republic, in Prague. And this is one of the favorite conferences when I've been talking to people. Very practical, very hands-on, and very strong in security focus. So we're going to check out some of the sessions. We're going to try and track down some of the speakers and try and get a word with them. And we're going to check out this beautiful city that I'm in here of Prague. All right, we're back, and I'm here with another one of the presenters, Joseph Slovic, who just did a fascinating talk on supply chain risks and demystifying the supply chain and talking a little bit of breaking it down, as I just said, in some layman's terms for me, breaking down some complex topics. But I wanted, Joe, maybe you could introduce a little bit what your topic was on.
So the primary idea behind the discussion was first examining what a supply chain intrusion is, because there's lots of confusion around what that means, how that's done, and then using that understanding to show that it's actually not that easy for adversaries to do. And because of the difficulties associated with a successful supply chain intrusion, there's actually a lot of opportunities for network defenders to spot or to mitigate against these sorts of intrusions, instead of them just being some sort of scary, mythical, there's nothing you can do about the supply chain. No, actually, if you're doing security right, there's quite a lot that you can do. And to try to, again, demystify that sense that supply chains are these spooky, indefensible sort of intrusion vectors.
Yeah, I love that one slide that you had in there that was about adversaries only have to be right one defenders, and you thought that was complete bullshit.
Complete bullshit. And I'll apply this for anything that adversaries do, whether you want to apply this to something like the cyber kill chain model or something like looking at the MITRE ATT&CK framework for techniques, that adversaries have to do lots of things to be successful in an intrusion. And supply chain attacks almost double those number of touch points, because they have to breach both the supplier as well as impact and eventually maintain some level of control in their ultimate victim environment. And if we flip the script, so to speak, between adversaries only have to be successful once, like, no, adversaries have to be successful every single time, whereas defenders, we only need to spot them once in order to kick them out successfully, as long as we do our IR correctly. And I think that's a very helpful way of looking at things that people need to...
All right, last question. 2 key takeaways from your presentation. What do you reckon, what would you want, two key things for attendants to take away?
Key things are honestly takeaways that are applicable for security in general, because whether you're talking supply chain or ransomware or whatever, visibility is key. If you don't have visibility, you're kind of screwed anyway. And people, having well-trained, enabled, curious people that are looking into that visibility, that's how you catch a SolarWinds, that's how you catch a Conti, that's how you catch a sandworm in your environment. And if you don't have those two things, visibility and people to investigate what you're picking up through visibility, you can't do security, in my opinion.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your time, Joe. And check out that talk online if you can. So hey everyone, we're back here at Qubit, and I'm here with one of the speakers, Ben Hertzberg. Hopefully I got the name right. But hey Ben, I was just going to ask you if you could maybe give a couple of key points of what your talk was on.
Okay, cool. So about organizations that are moving to a need to share state of mind and a default to share state of mind, like the business is pushing for more data sharing within the organization, because that makes the business grow. And how do you do it in a secure way?
That's awesome. And what would be like 2 key points that you want people to take away from your talk today?
So 2 key points, I would say, brace yourself, because it's coming. Like if you don't have a program already, it would make sense that you will have such a program. Focus on your sensitive data. Focus on knowing where your sensitive data, always, as well as then protecting it, and making sure that security is part of the entire process of the data operations.
All right, we've just come to the end of the Qubit conference. So we're finishing up, but I've managed to track down one of the speakers, Sheikh, and I was going to ask you a couple of questions about what your presentation was on.
Some of the problems that we tackle around looking at cybersecurity from an offensive security perspective. So it's really about being able to challenge your controls, your configuration, and look for the gaps. So just as an attacker would, in the same fashion, we're trying to look for open doors, look for the ability to exploit certain vulnerabilities, and it doesn't have to always be, let's say, a CV or a patch or an update. It can be as simple as a misconfiguration, a bad password, and all of that is, looking at security holistically and trying to sort of help people think about how to keep their house in order, but to do it in a way that's easy and it can be measured, right? So over time, you have the ability to be able to continuously challenge your security controls and ask those important questions. Has something changed that's now made us vulnerable to an attack? And what does it look like from an attacker perspective? So I think that's the key thing, really. It's about looking at the attacker perspective.
Well, that's it. Qubit has come to the end, and I'm back in my hotel room, just getting ready to pack up. Thought I'd share a little bit about my thoughts on the conference overall. I'm rocking my GitGuardian hat. I've realized I haven't done any branding this video, so this is it. My nod to GitGuardian. But Qubit was an awesome conference. It's quite intimate, although there was quite a few amount of people there. There's the two tracks, the executive track and the technical track, and the technical track was actually technical. Often you kind of get these technical tracks and there's a lot of vendor pitches, and not the case. We had some real interesting conversations, and the guest lineup that Qubit put together was really quite extraordinary. It had speakers literally from all over the world coming in, and they included FBI agents, obviously some vendors were there, but we had some pretty serious technical practitioners and people that had their boots on the ground that were working in too, giving really practical advice. So overall, I think Qubit was obviously a fantastic conference, and I think it'd be good for you if you're definitely a security practitioner. I think you have to have some kind of involvement with your hands in the ground for this particular conference because it's very practical advice. At least I was mostly in the technical track, so at least on that side. But a fantastically run conference, and I gotta say, food was epic. As far as conference food goes, Qubit, 10 out of 10. So I look forward to hopefully attending again next year. And Qubit has a bunch of other conferences that you can check out too.